What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Keyz, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Mix. Now, today's a special day. I get the chance and the opportunity to sit down with a brother who's been doing a lot of great things in the music game for a very long time. He's done a lot of great things for artists and producers. He's actually helped over 600,000 of them, and he goes by the name of none other than Busy Works Beats from busyworksbeats.com. So we about to get ready to go over to Forge Studios, and we about to go meet up with him. And yeah, let's sit down, let's talk to him. Let's jump behind the mix. 600,000, I think 600,000 producers and artists.
Right.
Worked with various musical brands, Serato, Isotope, Image Line, Razor, and probably a lot more that I'm not remembering. He's definitely one of the go-to people if you use FL Studio. You probably watched one of his videos, if not 5 of them already. Man, what else?
I have a dog.
He has a dog. You know what I'm saying? He has a dog. Well, listen, I bring to the mic none other than the one and only busyworksbeats.com.
I appreciate you actually knowing the intro.
Yeah,
Hello,
man.
I'm game for busyworksbeats.com here with Keyz, and I want to say hello and thank you for joining us. Smash that like button. This is going to be on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh.
Smash that like button if you're coming here. We want to get you engaged. We want to serve you today. And I'm here, and he's super enthusiastic, super fun. We just came back from a tour from the other side.
Yeah.
And this is fun. This is going to be fun.
A lot of exciting things are coming for him as well. So I'm super excited for him.
Oh, thank you.
And a lot of the things that you are going to be having very soon. So let's get into it.
Oh, before let me for the people who don't know
Yeah,
me,
sure. Go ahead.
real quick.
That was the first question. Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you?
Who is this guy in a suit? He thinks he's cool, wearing nice polished shoes. No, I'm game from busyworksbeats.com. As Keef has said, Keyz has said, we've trained over 600,000 producers around the world. Work with $1 billion company Razor, $600 million company Sweetwater, which I'm going to meet at NAMM. I'll put in a good word for you as well.
Oh, cool.
We work with Isotope. Went to Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Saw their headquarters. Hundreds of employees. It's insane. Worked with Image Line. We're going to do an FL Studio giveaway. You want to give away something this episode or what?
Yeah, I'll give away. I'll give away literally 20 free beats.
Oh wow.
20.
Just to anybody?
20 free beats. Well, you give the stipulations. Go ahead. What's the stipulations?
Oh, I was just gonna give away FL Studio.
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
we give away. That's better than 20 free beats.
There it is.
That's
All right.
better than 20 free beats.
So comment below for your chance to enter to win FL Studio, and we're gonna give them how long? Like a week before we pick a winner?
Yeah. So we'll give them a week. So a week from when the video goes live. A week, and I'll put the actual date in the description.
Right. Awesome.
A week before the video, after the video goes live, that we're going to actually pick a winner for you. So wow, look, is we passed Christmas and y'all still getting gifts.
Yeah, cane bearing gifts. That's my gift to you. Is that?
So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what got you into music. I think that plays a part in the success and a lot of the things that we get ourselves into, and a lot of decisions that we make musically even. So where did you come from? What's your background? What things forced you into music?
Right. It was for everybody who didn't know, because this was off mic. You told me about your story and where you came from, your intentions. Right. That's so important. So basically, I'll keep the story short. I grew up, I kind of was dabbling in the music. My mom was a singer, or not a singer, but sang in the choir. Were you in choir?
No, I was playing for them.
Oh, you were playing for the choir.
Always playing for the choir. Always.
Right, so I was just in the choir, trying to sing out of key, probably. You know how kids don't know their tuning? They just start screaming. But I was probably one of those kids who thought I could sing. And I had musical influences. My mom always listened to jazz. And it was so funny as a kid, she would put on like Power 99, which is a hip hop station for those who aren't in PA. Yeah,
if you're not in Philly area, you don't know what that is, but.
Yeah, Power 99. And I'll be like, turn this mess off. Put on the jazz station, which was, what was the jazz station called?
WRNB? No,
like
that WRB.
106.1.
Yeah, 106.1.
The
Yeah.
Quiet Storm, something like that.
Yeah, I forget the actual name, but my pop would always play it coming through the house. You always hear it. So.
So I would force my mom to switch from the hip hop station to jazz. So I think that built my musical canvas of what I expected music to be. And then I grew up on Michael Jackson. Do you love Michael Jackson?
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's the pinnacle of music. And he inspired me. Who was your inspiration? Because I'm Pharrell, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, so my inspirations probably was, like you said, Pharrell, Timbaland, Ryan Leslie definitely is one of my inspirations. Man, musically, Michael Jackson, like you said, that's probably my Amazon Echo favorite in the house right now.
Amazon Echo, okay.
A lot of Michael. Oh man, a lot of gospel stuff, a lot of man, I got a lot of inspiration. I can't narrow. It's hard for me to ever narrow it down. I grew up on so much. My dad was big on jazz all the time, just huge on jazz. My mom was big on church all the time, big on church. Okay. So it's like I grew up kind of in the middle, but then I wanted to do my own thing. So my brother and we gravitated towards hip hop. So then I have a plethora of genres growing up that I was exposed to. So musically, man, sometimes it's hard to even. It depends what day it is, and I can tell you.
Depends what day. True. You came out like mixed sherbet. You got cranberry and or raspberry and orange sherbet. You're just like a blend of the two.
Sure enough. So let me ask you this, because we're talking about like all of the things that kind of got us to music, and you said that you really fell in love with jazz. You had a big passion for jazz, and a lot of the videos that you speak, a lot of the tutorials that you do, a lot of your lessons, you definitely take time into implicating some sort of music theory. Yeah. So how important do you think for producers, it's probably especially, but for producers and artists, how important do you think music theory is? Because there's a bunch of people now that, music is a feeling and it's an expression. So sometimes it's hard to calculate and quantify it or break it down to a scientific matter. True. But how important do you actually think music theory plays a role? Do we need it? Do we don't need it?
Good question. Good question. I learned from my mentor. He said, the masters master the basics over and over and over and over again. Simplicity creates complexity, because what complexity is stacked up simplicity. So if you don't know the simplicity, the components, how are you going to build the computer if you don't know the motherboard? Are you into computers by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the motherboard, help me out. The motherboard, the graphics card, the video card, the processor, storage, the fans,
cooling.
So if you don't know all those components, how can you build systems to build the computer to actually work? You don't. So you have to know that the master masters the basics. And part of my story was that I went to school for pre-med biology. Okay, and I created a pre-med club in sophomore year. And that's where I learned entrepreneurship. I didn't know anything about it. So my point in telling you this story is that before every test, I would start opening up FL Studio and just making beats. And I didn't realize that's my desire. That's my calling, people say, like in church. Yeah. Your calling. Because I never understood what your calling and your purpose meant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your assignment. Right. So calling is the stuff that you desire. Right. It's like the stuff that you like to do. Right. And you use that stuff to fuel your purpose. Right. And so your purpose is something that's beyond this life. There's three things: show love, be filled with truth, and then complete your purpose. Right. Whatever your purpose is specifically. Yeah. And so I didn't realize that while I was studying pre-med. So, fast forward a little bit, it comes back to simplicity. Like even when I didn't know what I was doing in that college dorm room, just messing around, having fun, I was using that calling energy to drive me to a result. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I couldn't pick out the parameter. Like, for example, Sheldon just gave us a tour of, I don't know if this is public information, but he gave us a tour of the other studio. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. and the future space. And he was going into detail as to the what were you guys talking about? The R value?
Oh, yeah, of the installation. So certain installations have certain density. So in the way how they signify is by like a R. Now I don't necessarily understand what the R means, but I know that they differentiate the types and the density of the actual wool by the R symbol and whatever. But
okay. So that's detail. That's mastery.
Yeah.
That's knowing a parameter that dictates the result. I would just be like, hey, I have a vision. I want to create a studio. I want this room, that room, that room. I don't know the materials. I don't know the fact that you have to build a room within a room.
Yeah.
I don't know the equipment to get. I just know that I want that to exist.
Right.
So that's all of us, because we start out in the. Have you studied NLP and the 4 levels of competence?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so here's your 4 levels of mastery for your audience. This applies to artistry, music production, entrepreneurship, whatever, life.
Yeah.
So it starts out with unconscious incompetence, which means you don't know that you don't know.
Mm.
And that's where we all start. So we start with a vision. We don't know how we're going to get there at all. We don't even know who to call, what to get. Like you told me your vision, you're like, I want to grow, but you might not know all the little dots.
Correct.
And I think Bill Gates said this. He said, you can only connect the dots looking backwards, which means go and then you connect the dots with your knowledge. So we start out with unconscious incompetence, which means we don't know that we don't know. Then we start understanding parameters as the conscious incompetence, which means you know that you don't know stuff, because you're like, oh, like music production, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to use a compressor. I don't know how to limit. I don't know how to EQ. You start knowing all the terms, but you don't know how to use it.
Right.
You know the tools. That third level is where you start building mastery. This is conscious competence. And this is where you study and you repeat with practice. So it means you know that you know, but in order to build neural pathways, you have to repeat it over and over and over again until it goes into your subconscious mind.
Right.
And then once it's in your subconscious mind, without you thinking of it, then you're in unconscious competence, which is your not idols, but your what do you call them? Role models, like Timbaland, Ryan Leslie.
Yep.
What do we say? Michael Jackson.
Pharrell. Yep.
They're in that top tier, which is unconscious competence. But as a master, sometimes they forget what makes them great. So it's funny, because in the beginning, we don't know what we're doing, unconscious incompetence. And at the mastery level, we don't know what makes us great. So we're constantly in this not knowingness when we're in both our peak states. We're in not knowingness. Wow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I actually was thinking of something down the lines of that earlier today. And it's like, I really value the work that I do for others, right? So I'm big on testimonials. I'm big on praise or just critique. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. And I was thinking, like, if you really lean too much onto the praises of people that people give you or to the negativity that people give you, you will be lost. Like, you can't let that get to your head, and you can't let it discourage you so much that you don't do it. And it's like, when you really start to get good at something, when you really start to produce for other people and to make things for other people and be good at what you do, sometimes it's hard for you to actually know how you actually did it, how you actually got there.
Right.
And I feel like what you're saying is almost like simple. It's almost like similar, because you need a balance between the I don't know, or I did bad, in other words, or I did good because I did know. Like, there has to be some variable of like the unknown. And it's like, how do you live there? How do you live in that unknown place? Because I'm be honest with you, a lot of people want success. A lot of people want to be great. A lot of people are on whatever level that they're on, and they want to grow and make it to the next level in whatever they're doing. They just want to be great. So do you think like in the process of being great, that it's more of really knowing that you shouldn't know what you should know in order to be great? Or is it, because we live in a era where it's a Google era, where everything's online. Information is a commodity. You know, you can go right online and find whatever you need. Do you feel like we need to know, or should we not know? And should we care to not know? You know what I mean? So what's your take on that?
Interesting. I'll speak to about 3 main points.
All right.
So let's define growth. You said growth, correct?
Growth,
This applies to all your artist audience, all your producer audience, and all your entrepreneur audience. So growth, I learned from my mentor, is when your future troughs are higher than your current peaks. And what that means is in the beginning, because here's what happens. There's a great book about this by Michael, is it George Leonard? Sorry, I'm thinking of Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, but it's George Leonard Mastery.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the growth cycles. So here's what happens. People think when they start making money in business, it just goes up and up and up and up, and it just keep going up into the sky. And if you're not making 10,000 more than you made last month, then you're not succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But in real life and in relationships and in business, you go up. So in the beginning, you don't know that you don't know. So you just start doing stuff. You take risks and you start growing. You're like, wow, I'm growing. And you're like, wow, can I repeat this?
Right.
So you're like, let me see if I can do it again.
What did I do so I can do it again? Right.
Yeah, you start repeating. Do I do it again? So that's conscious competence. You just do it over and over again until you reach your peak. And at your peak, you start to fall a little bit because you're maxed out with your mental capacity. Your knowingness maxes out. So you hit a ceiling.
Right.
You go down a little bit. And it scares people because they'll attach their identity to the rise and the fall of that curve. So like in relationships, you start out, you don't know a lot about each other. You're just excited.
Right.
Go up to your peak state. They call it the honeymoon phase. You go down a little bit right after the first problem happens, right?
I'm there now.
You go down a little bit, tiny bit. And here's where people usually give up. After they go down a little bit, they think it's always going to keep going down. But in reality, the growth phase is you go up, you peak, you come down a little bit, and you stagnate. But during the stagnation period, this is your learning phase. Yeah. This is where you repeat until it becomes unconscious competence. And then you can go up to a new peak. So it's going to go from 0 up to 100, down to 90, and then it's going to stay at 90 for a while. Then you're going to go up to 120. And then you're going to hit another peak, come down a little bit, stagnate. And it just keeps going up and up. And you're going to, as long as your troughs or your stagnation periods are higher than your past peaks, you're growing. So like if you go to the gym, do you go to the gym?
Yeah.
Bench or something like that?
Yeah.
So it's like, cool, we could bench 100 pounds all day, but we don't want to stay there. Oh, thank you, Sheldon. But so we're benching the 100 and you want to grow. So you have to push it up to 120. But then you get weak because you haven't filled up the fibers that you're ripping, literally ripping, shredding. And so you have to go down and wait to relax and recover. And then you practice at, what did I say you started at? It was 100?
You said 100,
Then go up to 120, then you fall back to 110.
Yep.
So you keep doing 110 because it feels comfortable.
Right.
You already pushed yourself to 120. You're like, oh, I could do it. Let me do 110.
Right.
Do 110 until you go up to 130 now.
Yeah.
And now you come back down a little bit to 120. Now 120 is your basal level.
Yeah.
That's what growth is. And let's revisit the question because I go off on, that wasn't a tangent, but I said so much that I don't want to lose the focus of the question.
Yeah, so just like, so we live in an era where there's so much knowledge and we all want to be great. So is it knowledge? Do we need to know more in order to be great? Or should we be comfortable in the not knowing things that we think we should know in order to be great? Like,
okay. Let's look at the great people. They always say they have curiosity. That's not knowingness.
Yeah, right.
And, right?
Absolutely.
And let's think of our consciousness or our knowledge as a big circle. Mm-hmm. So your awareness is a circle. And the way the universe works, in short, you have centrifugal energy, which is clockwise and it goes out. Centripetal energy is counterclockwise and it comes in. Mm-hmm. So when you expand and you're going outward, you're growing your circle. So what I mean by that is, like this room, if all we knew was this room, we wouldn't know what's beyond the door. We have to open that door to go beyond the room to know what's back there.
Right.
And that means we're growing because now we've expanded our awareness, our consciousness.
Right.
So there's always going to be, if you think of it like a territory, it makes a lot more sense in consciousness as far as growth. So there's always going to be the unknown because there's more outside that circle. And that's what makes the biggest people grow because there's always the outside of the circle. The question is, how do you identify what you don't know?
Right.
So do you have any exercises that help you identify like your weaknesses or like your strengths?
Maybe not necessarily exercises. Mm-hmm. When it comes to a lot of things, certain things, I have specific people who I will go to and ask, tell me the truth. Mm-hmm. So tell me the truth about this. Does this sound good? Mm-hmm. Does it not sound good? Am I doing this right? Am I not doing it right? Mm-hmm. Keep it a buck with me. Like that's what, keep it a buck with me. That's what I say all the time. But not necessarily exercises. Mm-hmm. Usually my wife, she'll do a good job of, keeping me humble when I need to be. You know what I'm saying? So
Indeed.
I don't have any exercises that necessarily kind of point out like a lot of those areas though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going back to, I'm glad you brought up your wife, is that so great leaders, there's 5 levels to a leader.
Yeah.
The 5th level of a leader is a leader who can give feedback to their people to help them grow. So when we say feedback, we mean how to identify your unknowns. Because if you have a master above you or somebody who can see objectively, that has their circle, that sees outside of your circle, they can say, here's the next parameter you need to master. So feedback helps you identify and grow that circle. And, you know, I've seen it at the top level. So you want to talk with the top guys. I mean, I talked to Curtis King. Shout out to Curtis King.
Shout out to Curtis.
You know, Trizza, Sound Oracle, who used to sound design for Timbaland and Polo the Don. Who else can I shout out? I got to give my respects. K Beasley's killing it out in L.A. You know, Kyle Beats is killing it. Taz Taylor's killing it from Internet Money. Who else is big? Lifestyle did. I got to shout out all my guys. Lifestyle did it.
Come on. Run them all down.
All right, somebody's gonna be so mad. I forgot him. Simon Servita up in Canada. Steven from Cymatics. Are you familiar with Cymatics?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
Drew from Cymatics.
Yeah.
Gabe from Legion Beats.
Yep.
Anno Domini.
Yep.
Forgive me for those who I haven't. Oh, Diego Ave.
Yep.
Who's placement shawty right now. He's just killing it, getting plaques on plaques on plaques and Grammys. I know I'm forgetting people, and you got to forgive me for forgetting.
Charge it to his head, not to his heart.
Yeah, darn. I know I'm forgetting so many people right now. It's all good though. MG The Future, even Craftmaster Productions. There's so many people doing great things.
So let me go here. You just named 2 people, like I told you before. I look up to, calling my mentors a lot. Anno Domini and Gabe from Legion Beats. I connected with both of them quite a while ago. And they've been nothing but brothers to me, you know. And now the music industry, selling instrumentals specifically, have changed, right? And these 2 gentlemen that I just named, fortunately, have pushed a significant wave with a new method to the music producer community, but not a new method to business, which is ClickFunnels.
Right.
What state are we in now? What state are we in now as music producers, as a music community, that we're going towards, that we're now getting into areas of this? Because now we're really getting into business.
Yeah.
You know, now we're really getting into systematic ways of email lists, of opt-in pages, of triggers. You know, we're getting a lot into entrepreneurial things. So what state are we in as music producers and as a music community now? Are we actually changing? Like, are we actually changing into like a different sector? You know, do we all need now the business music class? Like, that's not what was back then. You know, are we changing now? Are we shifting? Do you like this new model? How do you feel it's for us? How do you feel it's for the artists? What's your take? What's your take on it?
Good question. And this actually goes back to the capstone of what I was just saying before, which is that a lot of the top guys that I want to introduce you to, you know, with them comes the sense of the ego.
Yeah.
And as long as we remain teachable, which means always observant and receiving information and knowledge, that's how we all grow together, all of us. So that's why I want to connect you with those folks and talk to the new style of community. A couple people I forgot to mention, I want to show my respects. Ab McCree, Cody, Link Halfway, Base One, Todd Pritch, and I know I'm forgetting a swath of people, Walter W. Brady and everybody else. But the reason I said those names is because speaking on the new model of business,
right,
it was controversial at a point because it's new, it's different, it seems cheesy. Now, I got to give your audience a little backstory. Now, I've been to seminars from Phoenix to New York and LA and beyond. Right. And I've seen people take advantage of like you said, the newness. Your audience that you deal with is more, they have a different motive than somebody coming here to produce a whole album, you know, in a day or whatever. Correct. So I've seen people take advantage of that ignorance. And I mean, without digging into details, I mean, companies charging tens of thousands and I know they're giving away the weakest information,
right?
Stuff you can find on YouTube or from a mentor like you or I even, and they're charging so much money for it. And one thing I had to I know I'm saying a lot, but I was skeptical about one of the guys because he was so vague. And we spent money to go see him in New York, but he was very vague. But here's the difference. I went to LA to his coaching program recently, and that was the most groundbreaking thing I've had in a long time.
Wow.
To the point where they would say something in 3 sentences or 3 minutes that saved me 3 years of time.
Change your life, right?
So at first I was super, super skeptical because I'm like, oh, he's just trying to milk these people. Like, I'm really against that too, by the way, because I have real mentors, Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy. Do you study a lot of like marketing guys?
Yeah, I do. I'm starting to get back into it. I stopped for a while. I stopped for a while, but then I started getting really back into. Once you start seeing how entrepreneurial you really are, you start studying. You start really studying the marketing team.
So people I study: Eben Pagan, Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham. I'm forgetting somebody. Jeff Walker. Eben Pagan. I said that. Dean Graziosi, Brendan Burchard. Some of the top dogs in the field, and there were other people that I'd never heard of, trying to get people to do stuff. So I was extremely skeptical. Long story short, went to this thing in LA, changed my life. That was the breakthrough I was looking for. But at first I was very, very against it and skeptical. So that's what happened with the ClickFunnels. It's people are naturally going to be skeptical to something new or something they associate with fraudulence or vagueness. And even it could be the most powerful tool in the world, though. But here's the thing. You grew up in the church, right?
Yeah, grew up.
So you know that.
Born and raised.
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah, born and raised. The part of the Bible is that, I forget which parable it was, but I think it's, the parable of the seed. He throws out the seed into the garden.
Right.
And he says some seed's going to sprout immediately. Some seed's going to land on rocks. Some seed's going to go in the soil. Some seed's going to be plucked by the, the birds or whatever.
Yep.
We could say the same thing to the same people. Yeah. Only 1 of 10 are actually going to take it and apply it. So it doesn't even matter if you give people the most wisdom in the world. One's going to use it. So it doesn't even matter if you give away your secrets.
Yeah.
And I've learned this being a mentor to models because I did like a little test run to see if this could work in other industries.
Yeah.
Like music industry, modeling, filming, or videography, and fashion. And even though these people claim they wanted to be great, like you said, that's why I want to talk to you about entrepreneurship soon.
Right.
Is that they claim to wanted greatness, but then when it comes to apply all the stuff you give them, they don't do it. And I can give you the keys to the kingdom. If you're not going to do it, what's the point?
Right.
So what's your experience as to seeing, I don't want to defame anybody calling them entrepreneurs because I think that hurts people's self-esteem, but people who think they want this journey.
You know what? I really feel like nowadays, I feel like the climate of this social world that we live in is makes it so easy to call yourself an entrepreneur. It makes yourself so easy to make it seem as okay. I mean, years ago, we never would have guessed that these influencers on social media would have more power than actual people who have power. Will have more influence than actual people who can actually change lives. Wow. So I feel like because we're in that era, I feel like the stage is set to make it more easy for people to call themselves things that they aren't. So like you said, like you had real mentors, and there's a lot of people out here that get an idea and all of a sudden they're a guru. So then not only am I a guru, let me sell you the secret sauce to get to where I got to. And it's kind of like, at the end of the day, it's not so sexy. It's not so glamorous. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of decision making involved. It's a lot of things that you have to consider that you never thought you would consider. It's a lot of information in life that's presented to you that you never even thought to consider at the very beginning. But that's not what's advertised. And it's advertised by people who now can just pick up their phone, take a good picture or get a good video, and call themselves something that they aren't. And we're definitely in that age, definitely in the age. Man, when we had the tour in here earlier, and we were talking, and he was he was talking about Shona was talking about like some of the rooms and the dedication, like how over the years of the music industry, how it changed, and how back then you needed a really good Studio A room because that was the music that really was going on. He was like, I never thought to put a studio production room in the studio. I never thought I needed a podcast room.
Yeah.
And then he was saying like, and then a lot of the rooms are geared towards people for video, for photos. Because we really got to that point to where, you know, I may not really do this for a living. This might be my thing. But I can go rent this room and I could show you this is my thing.
Right.
And it's not really true. I feel like we're in that era now to where a lot of people aren't applying. They aren't actually as successful as they advertise. And a big thing for me, I know I'm ranting now. It's a big thing for me is like what has really made me successful thus far. I believe in my business is that, like I was telling you earlier, I'm a person first. I try to cater to the person before I try to squeeze $1 out of you, or let's just get down to business. I'm really big on people. I feel like we connect to each other as people about feelings, about the vibes that we have, that we get off of each other, about the atmospheres that we're in, about the way the room feels when certain people are there, the energy that we all bring. I'm real big on that. And I feel like people who give this false information, they care less about you as an individual. I mean, I get it. It's business. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's business. You need money. You need people to buy the thing from you for you to make money. I got it. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it created this culture to where at no point do I feel like I need to check how non-human I'm being because this is working out for me. If I can sell myself, what's the point of me really caring? What's the point of me really getting to know people? What's the point of me really shaking hands, kissing babies? What's the point of that if you think what I want you to think? You believe what I want you to believe. You know, for me, I just feel like now it's hard to find real good mentors. Somewhat. It's not hard to find. If you're looking online, it's hard to find. Okay. Like I really feel like it's a genuineness between specific people. And if you're in that game to look for things to teach you, man, I guess we're segueing into the next topic. Because I feel like online with all this information, we feel like as if it's more information that we need to know, that we need to acquire. It's another YouTube channel that I have to watch to learn to do this. Because I think if I learn to do this, then I will be more successful. There's another Instagram page I have to follow because if I follow this page, then my life somehow is better by me doing all of these outward actions. So let me ask you this. Okay. How big is it for you? You have a very large YouTube following.
That's right. I'm sitting there dying in this suit. Goodness gracious. The heat went up like 8 degrees. I'm sitting there sweating. I'm like, whew. Yeah. No, but I'm good. I had to wipe my head.
So you have a very large YouTube following. That's right. God is good.
All the time.
Yeah. Do you ever get wrapped up in this game of social media nowadays?
I like your pretext there. Your context, I mean. I'll say, speaking to your context of the fake guru thing and a lot of stuff. Yeah. One thing, I'll put it this way. I'll give a couple metaphors. Since we're church folks, came from the church, is that the Pharisees hated Christ.
All day.
So it's even somebody bringing the most wisdom and clarity and saviorhood or whatever the term is. You're still going to reject somebody who's here to help, no matter what level. And I think there was a narrative going around that I couldn't stand for, which was not only did people reject the ClickFunnels thing, which is fine, that, whatever. People aren't going to get it. I get it. Right. But they were demonizing at people. Like, for example, Anno and you've known them longer than me.
And Gabe, yeah.
I knew them 1 month. I probably, now, I don't know how many months I've known them, but, before I started talking about this stuff, I knew them like for 1 month.
Yeah.
and Anno and Legion, or keep on Legion, and Gabe.
Yeah, Anno and Gabe
are, solid people. Like Gabe is super giving.
Yeah, super.
Like, probably one of the most open people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And super giving.
Yeah.
And Anno the same, just very transparent. So when people created a narrative shaping their perspective, but using ClickFunnels to attack them, I didn't like that, because now you're attacking them as a person, not a business thing.
Okay.
Attacking them as a person
right.
in their perception. And when I met you, you had an aura, like a magnetic field around us. You can kind of sense people's energy.
Right.
And you had good energy coming here. I didn't feel like it was a struggle. I didn't feel like we were coming into a distressed.
Yeah, you felt like you was like, man. Well, really, what it is was also that space that we saw too. I was excited for that, because I'm just sitting here like, wow. I was like, this is kind of like stuff I dream of, and I see it in a rough form. So this is crazy. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, getting back to so what's the focal point of your question, just as a recap?
Do you get wrapped up? In this?
Media.
Yeah, the social media. I mean, because you do have a large following, but meeting you, you're a very down to earth, let me connect with you type of person. You're not like some of these people who I've met. Some people I've even interviewed, like, I'm here for the photo op. You know what I'm saying? Like, know why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Let's get these views. Let's get these which I get it. That's the point of doing it. But do you get wrapped up in like that game, social media, you're a face now and not necessarily a person?
I'll even be honest with you. I went to are you a fan of Joe Budden's show podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you go to the live show by any chance?
My friend did. I had a gig that night. Could not go. I had to play for a gig.
Okay. Well, without the details of the night, I'll just say I didn't like the vibe. Like, I was a big fan of the Joe Budden podcast.
Wow.
And I met the guys at the meet and greet, and the energy was way different.
Wow.
Like, just way different for whatever reason. I don't know.
Right.
And I can't say their character is a certain way.
Right.
It just didn't feel right. So now I'm like, I had a picture. I could have, out of clout, put it up because I'm like, oh, here's Joe Budden.
Yeah, I was with Joe.
It's like, but the energy wasn't there. It wasn't real for me. So I didn't post it. So it's literally my phone. I'll show you later. But yeah, you're right. When I went on like a little mini tour out to, I was invited to ATL by Steve from Cymatics.
Cool, yeah.
To come, speak at their event.
Yeah, he's dope.
And up at Toronto for Imstafesta, sorry, from Ray. Shout out to Ray if you're watching this. He's like a hidden hand in this side of things.
Right.
And with music marketing. And I got to see the people and feel the people. And there's no feeling like energizing the crowd, transforming lives. I mean, we had a story from Toronto. A guy recently got out of jail and started studying my stuff 2 weeks before because he felt like there was no other option except music. So that was his passion, his love. He's like, this is all I have. I have to learn how to do it. So he looked up, how to make beats, whatever. BusyWorks Beats came up. And then he's like, he came to the live event in Toronto 2 weeks later. And he said, 2 weeks ago, I started studying your stuff and now you're here. And he's like, yo, you gave me so much hope. And like he started crying in the crowd. And it just was like, wow, like we actually mean something to somebody.
Wow.
Because I've been in that place. I'm all about to tear up now, but looking back, because it's such a real thing, it makes you want to go touch the people and like be with the people.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that place where, like hopelessness for real. And that's a dark place. Like you feel like even when you find stuff you like, there's you can't find joy in it. You can't laugh. You can't smile. It's the worst. It's hell on earth in the body. It's probably worse than hell on earth. And so I know how that feeling feels. But when you give people the ability to go from negative 1,000 to at least 0 and look at life more positively, to go upward, that's important. And I think that's what you're doing now.
So let me ask you this, because we're kind of on the subject of other people and stuff. How do we network now? 2020. How do we network now? What does that look like?
Okay.
What does that look like? You just said that. I mean, you got the suit on. Y'all, man, I was about to go back to the car. I got the suit in the car. I'm about to put the suit on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you were actually working. You were actually networking. You were actually campaigning. How do we network in 2020? What does that look like? Because it's not the same. It's not the same as it used to be. So how do we network? How do we meet these people? How do we get inside the rooms we really want to be in? Because you seem like a very calculated brother. All right. You seem like you put your mind to what you want to do. You have a plan and you get in there and you make it seem as if you're not stressing to get there. Okay. You make it like, cool, let's do that Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's Tuesday. That's it. Tuesday, that's what we're doing. So how do we network now? How do we get into these rooms that we want to be in? How do we reach people that we want to reach? How do we do that? How do you do that even?
Good question.
Yeah.
Let's define network. So I did this on Steven Simatic's podcast. I'll do it here as well.
Cool.
Net meaning total, like an actual net. Think about a net.
Right, absolutely.
And then work means, the work we put in, multiple force.
Right.
Let's actually define work.
Right.
Work equals force over distance. So we could push this table, but if we push this table from here to there, that's considered the work of the moment.
Right.
A force is just me pushing the table.
That's just the action. Yep.
So work is force over distance. So you're going to start a business and you're going to be pushing it yourself through a certain period of time or distance. We'll call it distance. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how much work you put in, literally how much work you put in.
Right.
Now, power is work over time. So power mean like the Godfather status. If you want to just sit back and chill, you got to have things working for you over time. And if you collapse time, you increase your power. So that's how, what's his name? Jeff Bezos became is he a trillionaire? Or a gazillion, whatever he is, a gazillionaire.
He had got divorced, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that got divided by...
That kind of hurt, yeah.
Divided by 2, and that's his net worth. He's still the richest guy in the world or whatever.
Still, yeah.
And it's because he's lowering that time
right.
coefficient or whatever the proper term is.
Right.
So my point in saying all this is that network is finding multiple forces. Like I'm a force, you're a force, somebody else is a force, and we all have different levels or like force, the value of the force. Like that sounds like a Star Wars trailer. The value of the force.
Of the force.
Right.
Power over time.
Yeah, power over time. And network just means how do you? Okay, I'll go into 2 different things. So network is your total work. So Jay Abraham talks about this. It's called force multiplier. So if you're taking out a city, you don't just send the Marines. You send the Marines. You send the Navy. You send airstrikes. You send drones. You send whatever from all angles. So, for example, if we're trying to...
Trump, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking, that's a current event. That's a current event. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, let's say your work, you want to increase the work of something.
Right.
Your total work. I'm going to be a force. You're going to be a force. Curtis King's going to be a force.
Yeah.
Anno's going to be a force.
Right.
Gabe, we're all going to attack at the same time on one thing. Create attention on one focus. And that's what... Have you heard of launches before? The idea of like launching a product. Or,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So when that happens, the top dogs, they have a syndication. And this is why it's important for entrepreneurs like yourself and I that we build infrastructure because we're building distribution. And if we all act at the same time, that's called syndication. So that's us creating a workforce, meaning my force at the same time is going to work at your force, their force, all at the same time. It creates a net force or a network. And that's what networking means. So a way people can network is, this is like a second part of a 3-part thing, is to create incentive for people who bring you business. So for example, lawyers do this all the time. If you bring them a client, you get a cut of a commission or they give you a percentage of whatever the transaction's worth. So that way you're getting 30% of somebody or a transaction that you didn't even have to create. So for example, if I have a product, let's say music theory in a day.
Yep.
And you have an audience of music producers who need music theory training.
Right.
I give you the ability to earn 70% on a product I created.
Right.
So, and I would keep 30%, aftermarket. So that means that you're generating the customer. You can keep the 70%. That's what you earned.
Yeah.
But I get to earn 30% of something I never created simply by leveraging something I already have. So that's how you can multiply your business, is give other people an incentive to help you out.
Yeah.
And you could do that through referrals and systems like that. So that's the second level of networking. Third level of networking is, I'll give it some social media tactics, is that people think, going back to the force explanation, they think their force value is they think it's higher than it is. You probably heard this before, work with your peers.
Yeah.
But people, here's the misunderstanding.
Right here,
They think, just because I'm just saying me, because people, they know me.
Right.
So they say, okay, Game's my peer because he's on Instagram. Or he's on YouTube, so he's my peer. but we have different force values. So if I'm at level, even on Halo, or what's, did you ever play Halo 2 by any chance?
No.
Or like Call of Duty or anything
Call
like
of
that?
Duty. Yes.
Okay. So which one is your favorite one?
Favorite?
Or like which one do you actually like playing or played?
My favorite Call of Duty is Black Ops 2.
Okay. Black Ops 2. So I think it went up to 55, right? Was the max level?
Yeah.
So if I'm a level 55 and somebody else is a level 1 and they consider me their peer, we're two different sides of the spectrum as far as skill.
Yeah.
And the time we put in value.
Right. But we're on the same platform.
Same platform. But we think because we're on the same platform that we're peers. But I'm technically what's called a vertical, which means somebody who's a higher level than you. So this could apply to businesses or people, influencers.
Wow.
So when people are talking about work with your peers, they mean work with people of the same level or slightly above, slightly below. Not way above your level.
Right.
Now you can do that. I'm not saying not to do that because you need vertical relationships in your network as well, which means people way above your level.
Correct.
And I can get so deep into this, but
no, get deep into this. This is what the people want to know because I feel like the biggest struggle, especially with the people who I talk to on a daily basis, is they don't know, I guess, the practical or the organizational thoughts in their mind to where they need to put things into perspective in order that they do achieve more and that they are successful. But it seems as if now it's like, like how you just put it, because I'm on Instagram, because I'm on these other platforms as other people, I could do what they do. They doing it, I can do it. But basically what you're saying is like the work is different. The work that defines us is different. So even though you see me on the same platform, we are not exactly peers because, and what you call it? What was the definition? That's different. You said I'm on a different level.
like a force value.
I don't want to say level because that seems like kind of like urban cockiness.
Yeah. Force value. Let's call it force value.
Force value. Yeah.
And I don't want to discourage people because here's a couple things people need to know as well. There's value in connecting people.
Yeah.
There's value in being a resource to somebody else. So for example, there's value in being a loop creator. Sending that off to Timbaland, for example. He takes your loop, he makes the beats, he puts it in his system. You're giving him a resource. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of an analogy, like a farmer. You're the farmer in that case. McDonald's still needs farmers.
Yeah.
That's a valuable relationship.
Period.
So just because you're not Burger King, does it mean that McDonald's doesn't want to have a conversation with you?
I got you.
So I don't want people to think their value's low just because they don't know how to fit in that equation.
I got you.
So either become that source for somebody, meaning like if somebody needs loops or sounds or sound design or what do people want? Like photography even or videography. That's another secret way to get in. Be the source for somebody's system. Because a lot of people are trying to
be the source for somebody's system.
Yeah, they're trying to be the product.
I got you. So when everybody's digging for gold, sell them shovels.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Don't be like, here, I'm a gold substitute. Like they don't care. They don't want that. Because people are like, I make beats. I'm a producer. I'm like, I'm not looking for producers. I'm looking for somebody who can create the source material for me to then transform to put in my system.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to think of, and here's real quick. I know I gotta get some water after this. I'm about to pass out. Take a deep breath. I literally am about to pass. I need some water in a second, but I'll leave them with one more tactical tip, and we can continue. I just need to grab some water.
No.
So on Instagram, for example, if you leave a comment and then DM them immediately after, in the what's it called, the request field on the DMs, they have a better chance of seeing it. If they have higher followers or I forget how it works. It's top followers and recent. So just leave a comment and then DM them right away. And they'll see your comment and then have a greater chance of seeing the same picture. And they'll more likely are willing to open it up. But you have to comment within the first 30 minutes of their post because people are obsessed with checking there.
That's their gems. That's the Instagram gem of the day.
Instagram comments are probably the best way to get my attention. Like Twitter notifications, I don't check. People, even big people, can follow me on Twitter. I don't check the notifications tab, so I have no idea.
Right, and they add a bunch of stuff in the notifications tab now. That's not really notifications. Thank you, but
hilarious. And for the bigger guys, even just a tip for your audience, maybe if they're trying to reach out to big people, if they're on a platform that has tons of followers, they get gajillions of notifications, and there's no way to really stand out. Now on Instagram, they added this mention thing that puts aside from your typical notifications, it's like at the top. That helps now. Comments are probably your best shot as far as getting people's attention on Instagram. And I'm trying to think of anything else. If people check their YouTube comments, but even then, if they're a big guy, they're getting 400 comments in like the first hour.
Right.
You got to find the platform that's not saturated for their attention. So that's my quick little. And I'm trying to be a videographer, be an engineer. That's your kind of secret key to getting in with the big guys very easily.
Yeah.
And know the videographers and engineers of those people, because those are the people that they kind of rely on. Like for YouTube content and all this type of stuff, we need a videographer if we're going to do anything big.
Right.
And for recording music, you need an engineer who knows what the heck they're doing.
You need it. Yep, for sure.
And those are the people that we have to feel most comfortable around to even continue working with them. So like Walter W. Brady's my guy in LA. Who's an engineer that I trust? Nate is a dope engineer. Andrew Grossman, the Grossface Killer. Yeah. So if you know those people, you kind of know me. And yeah.
Cool.
My bad. I gotta grab some water though.
No, that's why I was just like, let's just stop there. Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
Yeah, brief intermission.
Had to take a quick water break real quick. Sure. So let me ask you this. So we've been talking about like a lot of techniques, a lot of strategies, a lot of things like that. I want to ask you something like this. For you, so you do a lot. You do a lot for the community. So you do a lot of kind of like reaching back to those who need to be pulled up. What things are you working on now? Who are you working with? What things do you want to do for the future? Like what's really going on? Because you do a lot for you really move in like silence. Like I've been following you for a long time.
Oh, thank you.
I've been following you for a long time. Move you like silence. Even when I hit you up, like, yo, I'm in LA. No, I'm not back here. So I was like, who do you want to work with? What things are you working on? What's the future for Busy Works Beats? What does that look like? Is that still tutorials? Is that still teaching? Is it a school? What is it? What's down the line for you?
What's the vision? That's a good question because I did so much in 2019. Yeah. I kind of lost focus. And now 2020, I want to bring back the vision, the 2020 vision. It sounds cheesy now, but bring back focus.
Right.
And I'll say one thing, for example, I want to run for producer president because I figured if Trump's running for president again, we need a producer president who's really going to get stuff done. So I'm wearing this suit, and last time I got fitted for this suit, I was a little bit smaller, so that's why today I'm like, oh my goodness, it's cutting off my blood circulation. Had to undo the neck, had to undo my belt a little bit. I was literally about to pass out. So, but I want to run for producer president as a way to serve the people, not for my own ego, not for all this. When I went on that tour and touched the people for the first time energetically, I've had mastermind meetings before, but it was so informational that it wasn't. It was different.
So how do you get there?
How
do you get to be president? Who? How do we vote?
What does it mean? Yeah.
Who's running?
Who's running? Yeah, right. Good question.
What party?
No such things. Okay.
How? What does that look? What does that look like for you? What does that look like? Producer president. What does that look like for you? Is that legal?
Is that legal?
I mean, are you going to be what you gonna stand between us and the law on behalf of us? You know what I mean? Or are you going to be the one in those rooms having those conversations that would benefit the producers? What does that look like for you?
Like you said, moving in a lot of silence. A lot of the credit that I get in public is not the credit I get from behind the scenes. So, for example, with content creators, because you're in the YouTube space. Yeah. So you're familiar with brand deals and different things?
Absolutely.
So what's a brand that you would like to work with, for example?
Oh, man. On the record.
Yeah.
A brand that I would like to work with. Man, yo, this is a deep question. A brand, because I got to make this count.
Okay.
A brand I would like to work with? Okay, a brand. I would like to work with Yamaha.
Interesting.
That's who I would like to work with.
Okay.
That's why I would like.
Yamaha, for example. Okay. So I think Martina may know Yamaha is one of her clients. She's helps me get opportunities and things behind the scenes. So she connects me with the bigger companies and builds that relationship.
Right.
And I want to do the same with the creators on the YouTube space or Instagram space or whatever, and introduce you to the bigger companies. Now, here's the thing. The bigger companies used to reach out to the YouTube creators back in the day and basically get over on them. And this is what I couldn't stand for because I know the business side of stuff. So I'm like, okay, they'll give you a free copy of, I won't say the software because I don't want to slight anybody.
Right.
Free copy of their software.
Yeah.
And you create a video that creates $20,000 worth of sales for them. And you get nothing from that. And I can't stand back and watch YouTubers build up these companies and give them massive wealth. And then the companies don't even give back. They don't contribute jobs. They don't contribute money, opportunities. Why are we building up these companies that never give back? And I mean, they literally are from different countries even. And they're just taking the money, balling, have their mansions now because we just gave it away. So the point is, why don't we build our own producer community for real? Why don't we build our own economy for real? Meaning that if you came out with a product, I'm going to put your product before I put another company's product because I have your best interest. I don't have their interest because they're not recycling the money. So if you came out with a product, I'd put it in front of my audience. My audience loves it, supports you, and it continues. Have you ever seen the picture or the meme of how long a dollar stays in a community?
Yeah.
So the black community is like, a dollar stays in the community for like 6 hours, unfortunately. The Asian community is better, maybe a couple days or a couple weeks. Jewish community, same, couple days, couple weeks. White community, even greater, whatever it is. I forget the rankings. But it's important to understand that because this is how we grow. And if we're in a $20 billion market cap space, I'm just saying market cap, it could be higher now.
Right.
Where is the, like, and I don't know how much of that is the producer community, but, you know, how are we growing? How much is our market worth? Are we retaining the money? Are we just giving it away? Where's our wealth going? What's our goal? So there's so much to dig into. We can have a different conversation.
Yeah. No. That's really interesting that you say that you actually feel called, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Called to do such a thing. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like you're in the position to really make the changes that you believe the producer community need? Do you really feel like you got what it takes?
Good question.
You know what I'm saying? Do you really feel like you got what it takes? Do you know? Do you have an idea of the people who you should speak to, the brands that you should kind of work with, the brands that would even care? Right. And if a brand does not care, how do you like? I feel like you want your campaigner right now. Yeah. If the brands don't care, how would you get their attention? How would you do that?
Good question.
Yeah.
So it always is family first, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're part of that family, you're first before everybody.
Gotcha.
Now the brands are second. They're not necessarily family unless they're family, or unless a family member is inside that brand.
Right.
But family comes first, period, in this system. Second tier is the companies. And so for example, people who kind of skipped ahead the video, I worked with $1 billion company that came to me because I was a competitor in what they were trying to do. So they said, we can't beat the competitor, let's just work with him. They came to me, okay? $600 million company via Martina, thank you for that connection, but they came to me. Isotope, Arteria, all the top companies. Image Line, I don't know how much they're worth. Isotope is a huge headquarters in Cambridge, right next to Harvard, came to me. And, I invested in software. I can't share numbers right now, but I'm in the software space now, and I'm working on something even greater. So we are doing this stuff ourselves, so family first. And I realized we can do this. All we need is to attract the experts in the space. So if I don't know anything about coding and Python and C++, all I did was partner with someone who came from Facebook and someone who came from Microsoft. And
how do you get their attention? It's one thing to DM somebody. It's another thing to, hey, $1 billion company, come talk to me. Let me come talk to you. How do you get their attention? Now you said they come to you.
Okay.
So how do you get their attention? What have you done to what have you done to make them? Because that's a lot. That's one thing to be known on Instagram. It's one thing to be known on YouTube. To have these many followers, it's another thing for you to be on the radar of these companies and to say, "Hey, this kid is a threat." So we really need to do something about that now. How do you get their attention?
Yeah, well, when you're beating the 53 million, this is you remember when Native Instruments laid off a bunch of people?
Yes,
They had $53 million in capital that they invested in content, and they still couldn't beat a BusyWorks Beats. Okay, and they had to lay off a third of their company because of that. And I'm not saying that to diss Native Instruments. I'm saying that because we are the ones that make stuff cool. We are the actual culture. We're the people. So no amount of money from outside investors, no amount of whatever can ever take this culture over. You're part of the family.
Right.
You're part of the inside group. So let me get back to your question. I lost track of the question because I was about to go on a rant. Oh, how do I attract these people?
How do you get their attention? Yep.
So Michael Gerber has a great book. It's called E-Myth.
Okay.
And it's a great book to study. It's 3 levels of business. Business. There's the technician, which is the expert. And we're good at our craft. We're like doing it all day long, but we trade our time for money. Then there's the manager, which is the guy who hires people like him. So, for example, mixing engineer, perfect job because it takes your time and you're a master at it.
Yeah.
Anybody. Or, that takes it seriously.
Yep.
So that's the technician role. That's the bottom floor. Now we become a manager, we hire other mixing engineers like us or other components to a bigger machine because we know the craft and we know what is right, what's wrong. Then we become a business owner, which is somebody who's not directly managing people underneath them, but gives a communication to the manager to then manage the people. So you're not trading time for money at that point. And to get to your question, which was how to attract people to you, is that these people who are coding and experts in coding are technicians. They need distribution. They need the popular kids to get their product to the world because without us, they're just another Joe Schmo.
Wow.
And that's
so there's a group of individuals out there who actually, in other words, need what you can provide in a sense. And it's not necessarily the head guy or the head honcho. It's the guy who's actually the technician. It's actually the people who are actually doing the valuable things that actually make up the bigger side of the brand. So let me ask. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this because you're getting these people's attention. You're campaigning. You're trying to be president. Let me ask you this. What's the first thing you do when you get in office?
When I get in office, I wonder what the studio office.
When you get in office.
Yeah. First thing I do is ask the people what's the biggest obstacle we have. And for example, here's my vision. I'm going to bring in the experts, bring in the lawyers who actually have influence over Washington, bring in like Atir is a great lawyer. We have some lawyers who are popping up in social media who kind of represent the producer community. More voices there. Bring them, have that conversation. How do we get legislation even? How do we change expectations of certain pre-payout agreements and all the legal stuff that is like paperwork stuff?
Yeah.
Can we change that? Even if we can't change that and don't have that much influence in Washington, how do we change our own economy?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're all valuable because we are the culture. And my point is there are these companies and people trying to come in and infiltrate the culture. But simply being of the culture, being of the family, you already have your infinite defense, which is being the culture that they're trying to take control over.
Right.
And that's why everybody in the producer community is valuable because we are the culture. Everybody wants to be us. Everybody wants to sell to us or whatever it may be. That gives us our value. And the first thing I'm going to do in office or wherever I am in the studio is say, hey, I'm going to do a live stream and I'm going to say, what's our biggest obstacle? Do you want more money? Do you want more placements? Do you want more? What do you want?
I say we get this started, man. I say we start taking notes. I say we start asking questions, start taking notes. I'm down for it. Guys, I already know who I'm voting for. You already know who I'm voting for. I don't even ask what party I'm for. I don't even know who else is running. I don't care who else is running.
It's FL versus the Ableton party.
Yeah.
All right. But let me ask you. So what would something that you would ask?
Wow. But Something that I would ask is kind of like, what's the, like you said, greatest obstacle? I would definitely ask what is the thing that you really want? Because I think that sometimes we want the, because of how we are now, I feel like the producer community, we all want what other people have.
Mm.
But I don't necessarily think we can articulate what we actually want. Even when you growing up, we call them idols, we call them role models. I want to be like so and so. They in the studio, they killing it, making beats. When I first saw Ryan Leslie make the like his songs, like Diamond Girl from beginning to end, playing every instrument. I mean, playing every instrument. I love that because I'm a musician. Playing every instrument, singing, rapping, pulled the upright out. Pulling the bass, like I love that. Horns, he got the horn, all like I love that. And sometimes I think we fall into that. We see what other people have so much that we want what other people have. But what is that? What do they have? What do they actually have? So that's the question I would ask. What do you actually want? Because things that we actually want in life psychologically, we find ways to do it. This is why we spend money on things that we want versus things that we know we need. We know a bill's coming up, but these shoes are nice. So that's the question I would ask. What do we really want? Because the things that we really want, the things that we really need, we can get, we can plan, and we can really make that happen. But it's hard to do that if the things that we want are the things that we only see from other people. Because then what I'm doing is I'm representing people who are fighting for something that the other half of the people already have. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it's man, it sounds like healthcare, right?
Healthcare.
Yeah. But that's the question I would ask. It's like, what do we actually really want? Do we really want to be successful? Do we really want to be the star, a part of the music community? Do we feel like the percentages that we're owed should be more than what some artists are getting? Because it's the case now that without the beat, you don't have anything. So like that's the question I would ask. What are the things that we really want? And then if it makes sense to the community as a whole, beneficial wise, because some things we want just don't make sense. And I believe if we deliver on the things that don't make sense, we won't be in office for long. So I really do believe that, are trying to really find out what we actually want, the things we actually need as a community. One thing I credited Curtis for was that when he did his community, it was very beneficial because he brought in like coaches for different areas. Like really like dealing with the psychological things of just being a person, but being a producer. He's really big on mental health. Curtis is really big on mental health. So inside of that community, that's something that a lot of them need, because a lot of producers are the guy who just sits in their bedroom all day, who won't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them may deal with a lot of inner issues that they don't necessarily deal on the outside. So I think that's the real question. Is like, what are the things that we actually want as a community that will benefit us? Not just things that we want because we have the power to just get. So let me ask you this. If you had to be known for one thing, what would you want that one thing to be that you would be known for? Because you do a lot.
Yeah.
So what's that one thing you would be known for if you were to be known for one thing?
Good question. I'll say showing love and just being filled with truth and sharing truth. I think those are the two things I want to be known for. And, completing my purpose. My purpose really is to give Bibles, which is completely different than music production. But in order to give away 100 million Bibles a year, I got to use my skills to get up the money, because, Bibles are not cheap. It costs me on average $15 per Bible to ship worldwide.
Wow.
And 100 million times $15 is, what's that? Like 1.5 billion. So I'm going to have to make 1.5 billion a year, or raise 1.5 billion a year in order for that to happen. So that's what I want to be known for. The music stuff,
that's a crazy
cool.
goal.
Yeah.
That's a crazy goal, actually. And I actually commend you for that one. Let me ask you this. So, and as we're wrapping up and stuff, what music are you working on? If you're working on any music for yourself, are you currently working on any new projects, new singles? You had the music video. Are you doing more singles, more of like the artistry lane type things? Like what stuff are you working on? What does your time consist most of while you're in the studio? Are you making music for yourself? Or are you making music for others? Or are you teaching? What are you doing?
Now I'm gonna do a joint album with Sine Monique. Shout out to Sine Monique, my emotional rock. She motivates me a ton. And so, for example, the 808s and Mermaids project you're talking about, I had at least 10 more music videos in the stash, but it started costing me emotionally. And I'd rather save my emotional life than have a financial life all day long. A lot of people won't make that sacrifice. They're like, oh, you spent $50,000, you need to put them out right now. I don't care. $50,000 to me versus my entire emotional life, I'd rather take peace and joy for the rest of my life than a $50,000 loss.
A lot of rich people who...
So I have videos that I would like to redo the music. Because once you become a mixing engineer, you love mixing. It's like, it doesn't sound good enough. Then you get like, I got to go to a pro studio.
It's a double-edged sword. All day, every day.
That was part of the issue, but I'm glad that was the issue because it paused me from making stupid decisions that would have cost me emotionally. Like, I want a wife too. In order to do that, I can't be portrayed as a player.
My wife came at the right time. Said it. Came at the right time. If she's watching this, it came at the right time. Because it is taxing to get consumed in this world of, I don't want to say music, because music's not necessarily consuming, but the business side of music absolutely is. And to get wrapped up so much in the things that we want that we don't take care of ourselves and we don't do things for ourselves. Like you said, it's not worth it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you can have a lot of money, you can have a lot of material things, but if you don't feel good, if you can't wake up and smile, like you'll stay in the house all day and order pizza and everything means absolutely nothing. So I do think I do commend you for that. I do. I personally I agree with you. So let me ask you this then. Yeah. Let me ask you this. Are you making the necessary changes in life to make sure that you have a wife?
Indeed. I got that. At least I think I am. And I didn't realize those videos, they were cool and everything, but it was creating a perception that I was a player.
You know what? When that video came out, I think I don't know. I think I saw you. I think I saw you in the comment section. I saw you in the comment section, and somebody said something about it. Somebody said something. It was like, "Hey, yo, that's not even you. That's not even you." And they said something. And I thought you were going back with them. I forgot what the actual comment was.
Hilarious.
But it's just funny that you said that.
Yeah.
So do you regret that?
I'll say here's what I'll say.
Wow.
I don't have any regrets in life. But I will say I was in an angry place at that time.
You learned from your experience.
And I'm like, I'm not angry anymore. What am I doing this for? Wow. I was doing it out of trying to make somebody else feel the way they made me feel. And I realized you can't make somebody else feel the way you feel. That's up to the creator of the universe. There's no way you can make somebody feel the way you felt. Or it's not time for them to feel that. So I just had to realize that I'm not the one getting revenge.
That's a good clear up, given the fact, whenever you run for any presidential office, they tend to look at stuff. So we're glad that you when they start to dig up stuff, you be like, yeah, I was in an angry place. I
really was.
I was angry. I'm good now. I'm good now.
I'm still doing the music thing. I want to do new videos, but those I can scrap.
So like we were saying, you said that you will still be teaching. You said that you're now going to actually be working on a joint album, right? A joint project.
For fun.
For fun. That's always good. For fun. What other things are you going to be implementing anything new under Busy Works Beats? Or are you just going to be sticking to just doing music? and just other than running, that's besides the point. Are
Mm-hmm.
you going to be sticking to music and tutorials and the website and stuff and YouTube, or are you going to actually be bringing in new elements, new things that you want to do?
Good question.
Yeah. So
Good question.
You
Software is my next kind of frontier.
okay.
But software, that game is hurry up and wait. So you'll do something, but 6 months later it comes out. So it's a big waiting game. So you got to have stuff that you could do every day, stuff that you can look forward to maybe 6 months ahead of time, and then big vision stuff that could happen in years. And I think that's the producer union. So for example, producerunion.com, hopefully it'll be up by the time you have your interview up.
Woo!
That's where people can join this new community and really talk about the things that we need to do as a community, what you want, how to move forward, how to get all this free information or whatever it may be. Bring in the real experts like Steve LaBelle, who was Scott Storch's manager.
Cool.
He has We Work in University. And he brings in all the experts from all the top record labels or whatever the case may be. All the music industry people he knows. And, it would be great to have him. Just to bigger stuff. We need to do bigger stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, for my company, software is next. Doing the producer union, that's next, is a bigger vision thing. And just touching the people. That's really what it's about.
Cool.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts that you want to leave the people with from you? Any last thoughts that's on your mind that you want to tell them, you want to empower them, you got something on your mind, on your chest you need to get off. Any last words you got for them?
Easy. 3 steps to life, because people are so lost in life. Okay, so show love. I was told this from a revelation I had. Show love, be filled with truth, and complete your assignment or your purpose. If you don't know what your assignment is or your purpose, just ask. If you believe in the deity or creator of the universe, ask for your assignment. I was shown my assignment through a really life-changing experience. I call it a revelation, some would say. And after that point, my life was never the same. Like, never the same. Once you realize what the source of joy means and what it feels like to be around the source of joy, you look at this life like, okay, my only mission here is to complete my purpose, period. And then you'll get serious. You'll have so much clarity that you'll stop, messing around and doing all this other stuff that we don't need to do.
There you go, guys. Follow your purpose. That's the only thing that really is going to bring you fulfillment and pure joy. Everything else is a facade. But if you follow the reason to why you were created, you will find full of a meaningful life. So those are great last words. I encourage everybody to find your purpose on this week. Where can people find you if they're looking for you?
They can go to producerunion.com. If they're not a producer, you could just Google Busy Works Beats and I'll pop up with something.
So producerunion.com, Busy Works Beats. I go by the name of Keef Keyz, and I will see everybody else in the next episode. Make sure you hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Comment if you are interested in winning that version of FL Studio. Make sure that you're following me on Instagram, KEEF_KEYZ, KeefKeys.com, and I will look forward to see everybody else in the next episode. 1.